Well, Alderman Houston, why don't you begin by talking about growing up in Acworth and what it was like when you were a child?
Wow. It was nice.
Okay.
As a child, growing up in Acworth was, I guess you could say, very fun. Like in the community I was raised in, we had pretty much everything in the community. We didn't venture out of the community that much. That was going to shop and going to stores.
What street did you grow up on?
School Street.
Okay, School Street, so near Robert's School?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, Robert School on one end and my mom's house on the other end. So, but before we moved to that house, we stayed in the Acworth housing. So right down from Robert School. So, yeah, I was always on School Street. So,
Okay. Okay. So you say it was nice. Let's see, you started elementary school in '64, so I assume you were born about 1958 or
58, 1958, yeah.
So you're really describing the '60s in Roswell, which was a time of change in the country and a time of change in Cobb County as well in the '60s. Could you elaborate a little bit more on what nice meant? Safe neighborhoods, or what does nice entail?
Yeah, I guess it was a safe neighborhood, fun neighborhood.
Did you walk everywhere you wanted to go?
Yeah, we played. Well, we mostly played in the woods down by the creek.
Right. Nobody worried about you if you were out?
No.
Walking around town?
Not at all. In fact, we used to walk. I don't know if you remember Bartow Carver. It was Bartow Carver now, but it was George Washington Carver back in the day.
Yes.
We used to walk there as
You
kids.
walked there?
Yeah, as kids.
Okay.
Because that was the beach. Well, we call it the Black Beach.
How long a walk was that? How many miles?
Let's say about maybe 6 or 7.
Yeah, I was thinking that was a long walk. Wasn't
Yeah, it's a pretty good walk.
it? Well, why don't you talk about the beach? Do I assume that when you were growing up, blacks did not go to Acworth Beach?
Well, yeah, we did.
You did?
Yeah. You know, well, we did when I was young. Now, I don't know about before my time, but yeah, we did. But that actually the beach where all the black people hung out at.
Of course, by the time you were 6 years old, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was in effect. So,
Yeah.
the only thing that could keep it segregated would have been tradition at that point, I guess.
Yeah. Well, in fact, I went first through the 4th grade at Robert School. That was doing segregation.
Right.
And then it was 1968 is when we went over to, and then the rule came down in '64, but it was a couple of years before it made it to us. And I think in '66 or '67, we was told we could go to Acworth at that time.
That's right.
Or we could stay at Roberts for another year, but after that year it was going to close, period. So it was only about 3 that I remember chose to go to Acworth, and the rest of us stayed to the final year that we had to go.
Yeah. So the freedom of choice plan came in.
Yeah.
For Cobb County for 60, I guess that's.
Well, I ain't going to say it was freedom of choice. What much of a choice? You had to go that next year.
Yeah, well, right, but '68 there wasn't any freedom of choice.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Why don't you talk about that? And I want to get back to the George Washington Carver Beach in a little while.
Okay.
Too, and talk about that. But now that we're on the schooling, Roberts School was a nice school building. I mean, it's still a nice school building.
Yes.
What were your classes like? Did you think you were getting a good education, or do you think now, when you look back, that you got a good education?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. In fact, it was a lot harder at Roberts School than it was when we went to Acworth.
Is that right?
Yeah. Because the teachers knew your parents. So you had to learn. It wasn't a question. And the teachers was that adamant about you learning. I mean, you had to learn. I mean, we had our recess, our fun time, but they was more focused on you learning than anything. So it was. I would say we got a really good education. We had some really good teachers.
Do you remember any of the teachers?
Yes, I remember Miss Perry. I think Miss Perry was my third grade teacher. Miss Taylor, no, second grade. I don't remember which grade. But I remember Miss Perry, Miss Taylor, Miss Brown. Now, I remember Miss Brown very well. She was my fourth grade teacher.
You say that with a smile.
Yeah, that was the student teacher crush.
Why did you remember her so well?
Yeah. I don't know if I was say that. No, she's very pretty.
Very pretty.
Yeah, very pretty.
And you're already noticing that at age 10.
Yeah.
I guess so, by age 10.
Yeah.
So,
but she was a good teacher, too.
was she a young teacher?
Yeah.
Just
Yes,
out of
she was.
college?
Yeah.
Okay. Were the teachers tougher on you, do you think? As you look back on it now, were they tougher for a reason, do you think?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And what do you think the reason was?
They knew what it was going to take for you to succeed. They knew that you was going to have to, in that particular time, that particular era, you're going to have to be twice as good. So they knew that. So they was trying to get you to learn, what it's going to take to be successful. So.
There's tough when a teacher doesn't care about you and tough when a teacher does care about you. It sounds like what you're describing is that there were teachers that cared about you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And would call your parents if necessary.
Well, and didn't really have to call, but at that time you got punished in school. So
Okay.
So you get a strap with, if you was,
Really?
oh yeah, wasn't nothing for that. And then if you got it at school, then when you got home, is your parents didn't make excuses for you got another one. You couldn't plead your case. So
Okay.
yeah.
So the parents always backed the teachers?
Yeah. Yeah, because I guess they knew your parents knew you, and of course if the teacher said you done something, quite natural, almost I didn't, but your parents kind of know.
Okay. So by 1968, you have to go to the Acworth School for the 5th grade, right?
Yes.
And what was that like? Was that a good experience or a bad experience?
Well, it was different. I don't want to say good or bad. It wasn't really bad for me. It was just different. Now, it was bad for some of the other kids. Some of the other kids experienced things that I didn't experience. So, for instance, in one of the classes, when the teacher was asking the question, and so the guy answered the question, and the teacher got mad at him for answering the question. She actually got mad at the class because they allowed a young black kid to come and answer the questions that, yeah.
So she's trying to shame the white students because they didn't know as much as the black students?
Well, I ain't gonna say they didn't know as much, but that particular question, they didn't know. But yeah, so but that kind of set him in he withdrew from answering any questions. So that was kind of damaging to him. But
it's a pretty racist comment.
Well, yeah, I guess you could say. But it was different for them too. It was a transition because a lot of the teachers didn't want us there. Everybody didn't approve of it.
You felt that?
Yeah, oh yeah. A lot of the teachers, but at my age, we'd already, as kids, most of us already played together. Even though we went to Robert School, in the community.
Town.
Yeah, in the community, we come downtown, we play, and most of them live on the outskirts. I was raised in what we call the block, and that was actually the black community. And then on just right across the street is white community, so they kids, we all played together when we got out of schools and stuff like that. So that was our first encounter. We had played together periodically anyway, so it wasn't a big transition for the kids. Now for the teachers it was.
Well, now, what about the teachers from Robert's school? Where did they go once they closed Robert's school down?
Back to Atlanta, I guess. I don't know, because most of our teachers most of them drove from Atlanta or Kennesaw or Marietta.
So when you went to Acworth Elementary, were the teachers all white?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I guess from what you were implying earlier, they didn't know your parents and didn't care about you as much as the black teachers.
Right. That would be my conclusion. Yes.
Well, that has to be traumatic for a 10-year-old, I would think.
It was different.
Okay.
I'm gonna use that word a lot. No, but it was. But I had my teachers was great teachers.
Okay.
Yeah, I
That's
had.
good about you.
Oh yeah, I had in my 5th grade. I had Miss Copeland. She's very nice, and then the 6th grade I had Miss Denmark, and she was very nice teacher. I didn't really have no issues in my classes. Now, I ain't gonna say issues didn't exist, but I didn't experience them.
If you went home and you were complaining about things from Acworth Elementary, what was your mother's reaction?
That I better go over there and do what I'm supposed to do.
Okay.
That's it. You still didn't get away from home. Yeah.
Did you know Butch Price when you were a student and he was a teacher?
I think when Butch came, I was, I don't remember him as a teacher. I remember him running the recreation department.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because I was playing, at that particular time they had a youth league, basketball league, and I was playing on, never will forget this, I was playing Bill Hayes. His father was the principal. Bill Hayes was our coach. And I was playing on his team, and I could dribble pretty good. I wasn't a very good shooter, but I could dribble pretty good. And I remember Butch coming over telling Bill, you need to let that guy bring the ball down court. That was pretty impressive. But yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, of course, Butch would have been at Autry for a few years,
Yeah.
and then went on to other places.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but we did an interview with him. He talked about the recreation
Yeah.
department.
Yeah, he did run that because, yeah.
All right. Well, in the earlier interview in 2009, you talked about going from Acworth Elementary to Autry and then to North Cobb. And you used an expression in that interview that I wonder if you could elaborate on, where you talked about the high school being integrated but segregated at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, it was. Because you kind of kept to your own. You know, you hung with your friends, you know. I mean, you was grouped. You know, when you went to lunch, you all sit together. You know, we rode it started out when we first went to Autry. Started out, we was riding an integrated bus. But by...
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, but by a couple of weeks in, it was no longer integrated.
Why not?
I don't know.
The white kids stopped riding the bus?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I guess that's what you could say.
They went home and complained to their parents, and their parents started driving
No.
them to school?
No, I don't think the kids complain.
Okay,
No, like I said, with the kids, I don't think the kids complain.
okay,
I think that was a decision made higher than the kids.
okay.
Yeah.
So, did the white kids have their own bus, or did their parents take them to school?
They had their own bus.
They had their own bus?
Yeah. Well, they took another bus route. Another bus came through. They had the route that we had. It came through our community, went out over 92. Well, actually, 92 wasn't there then.
So you're saying somewhere higher up, they said, we're going to run these bus routes so that it doesn't go through the black neighborhood.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Which was fine. long as we got to school. But yeah, we kind of, and then when we got to North Cobb, it was a little different. We had this place where we hung on the corner. They used to call it Malfunction Junction or something like that. And at the break of every class, we all gather there and talk for a few minutes, and then before time to get to class, then we break off and go to class.
Malfunction Junction was on campus?
Yeah, it was in, yeah.
A place on campus?
Yeah.
That was where you hung out?
Yeah.
Why did they call it Malfunction Junction?
Yeah, because it malfunctioned. No, it was just an area where we kind of hung out, got in trouble, doing things we weren't supposed to do, so it wasn't really good hangout there. But
Okay, so you weren't really excited about being in school anyway, were you?
No. But my mind's changed now. Over the years, you get a little more wisdom and realize all the things that your parents have been trying to teach you.
Yeah.
That, so. Yeah, but it was, school wasn't exciting to me.
Did you play sports on the school teams?
Yeah, I played basketball. I played at Autry. Now, when I went to Autry, it was junior high. When I left, it was middle school.
Right.
So that was my 8th grade year is when they moved 9th grade to high school. So I played basketball at Autry, and then we got to North Cobb. I played JV, junior basketball. So it's exciting.
By the time that you got to North Cobb, were there any black teachers in the high school?
We had one.
Just one?
Yeah.
Who was that?
Mr. Bird. His name was Mr. Bird.
What did he teach?
He taught history, civics.
Uh-huh.
And actually, he ended up getting killed on his way to school one day.
Mm.
He got, now this is a story, he got pushed off he was at the bus station, he got pushed off the parking deck of a bus, something happened.
Like the loading dock or?
Something, yeah.
And pushed out into the road?
Yeah.
Mm.
So.
Anybody get arrested?
No, we didn't hear no more about it after that. They just took that, they told us in school what had happened. He was on his way to school that morning. He didn't come. Mm. So they told us what happened. And
where was this?
He was in Atlanta.
He was in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't we talk about the churches a little bit? I guess you were always a member of Zion Hill Baptist when you were growing up?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that was still a time, wasn't it, where neither Zion Hill nor Bethel had full-time pastors, and you went to both churches?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, you would go to the Baptist church on the 2nd and 4th Sunday, and the Methodist church on the 1st and the 3rd.
Yeah.
And, they supported one another. They still had different pastors, but, the people in the community would support each church. So that happened, went on up into the late 80s, almost 90s. If I remember correctly, it was about 88, 89.
Yeah, that sounds right.
When it changed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But what about Sunday schools and things like that? Did you go to the separate churches for that, or did you have the same?
I didn't go to Sunday school.
You didn't go to Sunday school?
No, I didn't go to Sunday school. But,
all right.
Yeah. And I wasn't I didn't go to church that regularly.
Really?
Yeah, I was the Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas guy.
So you must have had a conversion experience somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Later on in life, I did, yeah.
When did that happen?
When I was, I'm thinking 29 maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had a wife that had breast cancer. And during the process, she was in and out of the hospital, and people would come in and pray with her and bring tracts and give tracts, and then they would witness to you. Mm-hmm. And, so that, I guess you can say that was the beginning of my transformation. Mm-hmm. Hearing those things and then begin to read the tracts, and, of course you begin to pray because of the condition that your wife is in. So.
Yeah. Well, that had to be very traumatic at that young age.
It was something to deal with.
At any age, but particularly.
Yeah.
You just don't expect it to happen to somebody in their 20s.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, she passed in 1988, March of 1988. She was 33.
33.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you have any children from the first marriage?
That was my second marriage.
Oh, that was the second.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I had children from there. We had a daughter. Yeah.
2 children.
No, we had one
child.
with her. Now, I got 3 kids. My first marriage, I had 2.
Okay.
And that just didn't work out. Irreconcilable differences. I guess they use that a lot now. Right? I just got married too young, way too young, 17. So, didn't know what marriage was.
Right. Yeah. Right. So you have 3 children altogether?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. We have 3 children, 6 grandchildren.
Okay. All right. Well, you're a young grandfather.
Yeah. Thank you.
We started talking about George Washington Carver Park. Why don't you describe what the beach was like? This was on Lake Allatoona, obviously.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It was, wow, it was nice. I tell you, on Sundays when everybody would go. And from where I live, my mom's house, it was where School Street ran into Cherokee Street. Now, Cherokee Street was the main thoroughfare from Atlanta. So on Sunday, we can sit out there and we'd watch all the cars and bus loads come from Atlanta going to George Washington Carver Beach. And you see all kind of cars.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
People out of Atlanta were going up there?
Yep. And you go out there and it had the big dance floor. They had like a cafeteria, had food, swam on the beach. It was the place to be on Sunday evening after church.
Well, now, was it a state park or who ran it?
Yeah, the state owned it, yeah.
When did it close down?
When did it close? It's still open, but...
It's still there?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's Bartow Carver Beach now. It's not George Washington Carver.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, why did they change the name?
That's in Bartow County, so Bartow did. I don't know why.
So with integration, they changed the name away from George Washington Carver?
I don't know. I really don't. I never did even investigate that, but it changed. Yep.
Okay, so now it's called Bartow County?
No, Bartow Carver. It still got Carver.
Carver.
Yeah, it still got Carver.
So it's still got the Carver.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it still honors memory of George Washington Carver?
Yeah. Yeah.
You implied a few things about, I guess, segregation and integration. Did you think it was unusual or anything different about the fact that, the black kids were going to one beach and white kids were going to another when you were growing up? Was that just the way things were? Or
Yes.
Didn't think about it much?
No. I didn't think about it much at the time. Yeah. No. It just, I got to do whatever I wanted to do. So, yeah. I was enjoying life. So my life didn't change at all. Nothing happened to change my life. So, so if it had been something that drastically happened to change where we was living or something, I probably would have noticed. But for the most part, like I say, we went down shop downtown. We just wherever we wanted to go. Went, and I never experienced an issue.
Okay, so all the stores just walked in and bought anything you wanted?
Yeah.
What about ledge counters and things like that? Everything?
Now, they did have one, we went to lunch counter there, one place. It was a club, though. It was up above town, almost at the line. Well, now, he had a place where the white went in the front and blacks went in the back. I remember when I was very little, because my brother used to drive up there, and he'd leave me in the car, he'd go in, he'd come back out, we'd come back home. I remember that. But now, that's the only place other than, it was a foundry here called Qualico Casking. Well, at the time, I think it was called Stay Hot.
Steakhouse?
No, Stay Hot.
Stay Hot? Yeah,
because they had big chems in there, but it was a casting company. Now, I went to work there when I was probably about 15 or 16. Worked there for a while, and that was the only place I ever experienced where they had black showers and white showers, and black restroom and white. Now, it wasn't utilized, but at the time I was there, but it was still there.
The signs were still there?
Yeah. Not the signs, the showers and stuff.
Okay.
And just by default, they still used it that way.
Is that right?
Yeah. But you could have went in any one you wanted to, but it was. But from the beginning, that was,
So this would be like early 70s.
Yeah.
By that time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. What was the Rosenwald School being used for when you were growing up?
It was a community center. We called it a community house. And it was where anybody in the community had a function, a party, or the churches had dinner. You know, they would use that facility to do that. In fact, that was actually probably the only gathering place that you'd had in the community. So, but it was, and I worked on that Rosenwald School for a while before I knew what it was.
I was going to ask you if anybody told you what the history of the school was.
Well, I know now, but when I first started working on it, it was to have a place to where we can have like after-school programs for the kids to come in and do tutoring and different things like that. But it was still being used at the time. Well, before then, at this time when I started on it, it just was sitting idle. It actually was in disrepair.
Now, what years are we talking about now?
This would be early 90s.
Okay.
Early 90s. And it was in disrepair, so. And it always had a board where you had people from the community that was actually ran it. And they kind of convinced me to be the president of the board. So I figured we might as well use the facility. But before I came along, Amos Durr, I know you know Amos Durr.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He had done the very same thing before then. He had been in disrepair before, and he had fixed it back up and used it.
So it had gone into disrepair a second time?
Yep.
You were kind of spearheading the effort to fix it up?
Yeah, we had a lot of participation. We had a lot of people. We got a lot of grants. We got grants from United Way, Allstate Foundation. At that particular time, Jasper Lumber Company that was in Kennesaw. They donated lumber and stuff. And we had a lot of men groups that come from Acworth United Methodist and people in the community come together. And it was kind of community effort. And at that particular time is when I went to work for an organization called Neighborhood Cobb. And Joe Bryce was kind of heading that up. It was kind of like I think they had got a grant for that program. And he had a location in the Six Flag area. There was some kids out there he used to meet with. They were called Theo. It was teens helping each other was the name of it. So he come to Acworth, and so I was the Acworth community coordinator. And through those efforts, it was during the process of revitalizing the Rosenwald School. So I had connection with them. Through all those efforts, it paid off to get the...
So you always stayed in this community then, it sounds like.
Yes.
And what's it was Cobb EMC, was that where you were at the end of your?
Yeah, Cobb EMC.
And then you retired from Cobb EMC.
Yeah.
Worked at various other jobs along the way.
Yeah, I had quite a few jobs until I got to Cobb EMC. Actually, I had my own business for a little while. I poured concrete. So that was a tough job, but it didn't last long. Before I went to, I worked at Coast and Clark for about 10 years. The thread mill,
What did you do there?
I started out as what they call a dolpher, where you dolph the machines. And then I ended up as a section leader. Then I had a dismissal for about a year or so. Then they called me back. And I went back in the picker room. And that's where you take the big bales of cotton and put in the machine. It was pretty strenuous.
So I know you got a degree from North Metro Tech, or at least you got a certificate, I guess, from North Metro Tech, too.
Yeah.
And your GED, I think.
From North Metro Tech.
Well, of course, I know where North Metro Tech is now, the building. Where was it then?
North Metro Tech? Same place.
Same place?
Yeah, it was, when they've added on to it since then, but
So the original building's still there?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Tough. To be out of school so long, then to go back. But it was really, really good. It helped me along the way, so.
Why don't you talk a little bit about your ministry? You started a church in the old Eli Whitney School. When was that? About 20 years ago, something like that?
No, it ain't been, we're probably pretty close, though. I guess about 15, maybe 16 years
Just a little
ago.
bit before you got elected to the Board of Aldermen?
Yeah. Yeah, about a couple of years. So I think I actually started church in 2000.
2000.
2000.
16 years ago.
Yeah. And it was just another one of my vision, or the Lord had given me, to try to be more community oriented. Because at a particular time at Zion Hill, it wasn't, I'd say, outreaching to the community. It just, so that was the vision of that church, to be more involved in the community, right, to be more involved with the youth, and not just necessarily at the church. You know, go out right, into the community and get things done. That's why we was working so hard on the Rosenwald School. We had, now that one thing was at Zion Hill when we was there, we had this organization called Project Hope. That was the best. I still wish it exists. It was a great program.
What all did you do with Project Hope?
We got a lot of grants. We done like after school program for the kids. We would take kids on outings, like we took them to the Civil Rights Museum. We would take them to different educational functions, and that's what it was all about. And they would have to do. We had a newsletter. We had our own newsletter that we was publishing, and the kids would have to do stuff to earn the right to go. They would have to write essays, do stories, and it was kind of interactive. They had to be involved, and it was a great program. I kind of hate that went away, but I'll see the fruit of it, because initially my intention to start out, and in our community, you could count the number of kids that would graduate from high school. So my intent was to at least get kids to graduate from high school and consider some post-secondary education. And through Project Hope, I think we was able to accomplish that. So the graduation rate in the community went up tremendously. And then eventually college. Kids started going to college and graduating from college. So I think it served its purpose. I still wish it exists, but it served its purpose. And that was always my focus, is to make sure in the community the opportunity was there. I like to say I'm one that like to take away excuses. You know, people say, well, I didn't have this, or I didn't. So, if you take those away.
So how long did your church last in the Eli Whitney School?
I think we were there probably about 3 years.
And this was non-denominational, or?
Yeah, non-denominational. It was called Joshua Gospel Tabernacle. Yeah, it was non-denominational, and we fared well for about 10 years, and then it just got to the point when the economy went bad. We couldn't sustain no more, so we just had to disband. And then me and my wife, we went back to my home church for a little while, Zion here. We visited there, but we visited around. I got a lot of pastor friends, so we went and visited their churches and stuff. And then they never had the opportunity. A friend of mine actually was pastoring Allen Temple, and he called me one Mother's Day. He was going to be out of town. He wanted me to come and preach for him, so I went to preach for him. Then when I got back, he called me back and said he was getting ready to retire. And he wanted to know, was I interested in the church? And I was like, well, I ain't going to say no. I said, well, I'll just throw my hat in the ring, and I wasn't going to say I wanted the church. So I went and preached for him one Sunday, and then they actually called me back the next Sunday, but I couldn't make it that Sunday because I had a prior engagement. And I think they was trying more pastors. Then I went back for him one more time, and then the deacon called me and said the church wanted me to come and be their pastor. So, yeah, it was exciting. Kind of happy, sad.
Well, what are you proudest of your accomplishments on the Board of Aldermen over the last 12 years?
Wow. The Robert School? that and just, I don't know, I could be proud of a lot of things. Just how the community have evolved. It was nice when I was coming up, but it's even nicer now. You hear people talk about Acworth, and they don't say nothing but good things about it. I'm sure we have our faults like everybody else. But just to hear people talk about it, they say, man, y'all doing a great job there in Acworth. Acworth is county 160 from what I was as a little kid. And I was a kid, when we used to go out of town, we'd go to places like Cartersville, Marietta, and they would talk about Acworth. It was a one-horse town. You only have one red light. You don't have this. It was kind of like that, but now, and that was a driving force for me. But now it's different when you go out, man, y'all doing great things in Acworth. Acworth got this, it got that. So it's come full circle. So I'm just proud to serve. I'm proud of the people who have me serve, It just...
Why don't you just maybe as a way of conclusion, talk a little bit about how Acworth has changed over the last 50 years.
Wow. It's been a lot of change. We got a lot of big box stores when I was coming up we didn't have. When I was coming up, Main Street was pretty much all you had. But we had everything we needed on Main Street. You had Eaton's, Mr. Green's, Allen 5 and 10. Then you had the furniture stores, the grocery store battles. Then you had, the pharmacies. But then over the years, Acworth grew, annexed and grew out and grew out. So it's changed tremendously. It's a little more dense than it was. But I'm happy with the change. Because now we're in the process of expanding downtown. And the main thing I like about Acworth is we kept downtown vibrant. It lay dormant for a little while. Mm-hmm. But it's thriving now, and it's still Main Street, still a downtown area. So,
is it still accurate to talk about a white community and a black community, or has the city become so integrated that blacks and whites are everywhere in the city?
Yeah, it's totally integrated now. Yeah, it's totally integrated. Blacks and whites are everywhere. Mm-hmm. You may have more concentration in some area than you do other, but it's pretty much integrated now all over the city.
What about your ward, your alderman of a particular ward? What's the racial composition of your ward?
Well, we don't have ward, we have posts.
Posts.
So all ours, we're at large. So
everything's at large.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it would probably be easier if we had ward, so you only have to campaign in that area.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
No, we all at large, so you have to campaign the whole city.
I see.
Yeah. So, and even that itself speaks volume for Acworth, because I think our people pretty much are happy. If they think you're going to do a good job, I think they're.
What's the racial breakdown in Acworth now?
It's I think it's like 25% African American, 12% Hispanic, probably about 62, 63 white, somewhere in that area. So
not much different than the rest of the county then.
No. But Acworth is doubling, and because it was when I first started, when I ran, it was like 12% African American. Mm-hmm. Now it's 25%, so it's growing continuously. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know our athletic director at Kennesaw State lives in Acworth.
Vaughn.
Yeah.
Vaughn's a good guy.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Well, what have we left out that you would like to talk about with regard to Acworth and what you've done here?
I don't think we left out anything. I don't know. I don't like to say I done it. I like to say we done it. Whatever accomplishment was done, it was a collaborative effort on everybody, and that's what makes it work. Everybody got to play their part. So. But I'm excited about Acworth. I love Acworth. I just probably never leave, and that's my intention is not to leave.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I got a great family, lovely wife. She's very supportive in everything that I do. Like I said, I got 6 grandkids, 2 in college. Both of them go to Georgia Southern. Yeah.
Get them to go to Kennesaw State.
Well, actually, my youngest, well, she ain't the youngest, but She's a freshman at Georgia Southern. She was going to Kennesaw. And I don't know what happened. Her sister go to Georgia Southern, and she had told me she was going to Kennesaw. So I went to one of the art classes that they had at Kennesaw and painted the owl. So I told her, I got the great picture to go in your dorm. So now she decided to go to Georgia Southern. I said, what am I going to do with that picture? But I was hoping she'd go to Kennesaw. Yeah, but she changed her mind. So.